there was a cloud that came over and it blocked the sun rays from Jupiter's moon, and Venus couldn't see. Things happen, you know. That's how we're wireless. Things are going to happen, right? You know. So, what I was saying about the Chicago Blues, I will touch on that subject at our next live chat. And I was mentioning guys like Sun Seals, the Sun Seals Blues Band, Eddie, the Chief Clearwater, Lefty Diz, the Kinsey Report, which my wife used to run sound for the Kinsey Report. She ran sound for Lonnie Brooks as well. And I'm not necessarily saying that these guys were born in Chicago. I know, well, as we all know, Buddy Guy was like the guy amongst some of the others of his era that really got the Chicago Blues up and going. So always give credit where credit is due. And but that's gonna be another subject, because today's subject I thought was really important to touch bases on, because of, as the title goes, it's called Plan B with a question mark, and it's yes. And really, before I get touching on that, Plan B is a good thing to have. This industry is so like this, and I'm not trying to paint a negative picture. I'm just saying as it really is, you know. So people are prepared for it, you know. So we're going to touch bases on that. But we did have from last week. Really, I had one question, but I had a lot of good shout outs, and one of the shout outs was from Tanya Doe. I guess she went to Lyle Junior High. My wife went to Bolingbrook High. And Lyle and Naperville Lyle is next to Naperville and Bolingbrook. Now, I went to Lakeview High School in Chicago, which my grandfather went to that high school. That's how old that school is. And of course, R2, R3 is from Schaumburg, Illinois, and yeah, the taxes in Illinois, man, they're killer. And Adam EVH, I think the compliment you said about hit a home run with Deb. Yeah, Deb has been such a great inspiration, such great support. You know, there's nothing can replace that. You know, the grass will never be greener on the other side. You know, that's well, people who are young, you know, they experience all that. But as you get older, it's like you see things as they really are. You know, so Bumble Bess, yeah, he had a good comment. Can't compete with people who play for free. And you know, there is kind of a catch-22 on that. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Dan Sullivan, or could have been R2, R3. Had done a couple of, I think they had done one free gig, and it got him other gigs. So here's the catch-22 with doing a free gig. You use that as maybe a sales point if you really want to play at a place, so that you could get the opportunity to prove yourself. And once you prove yourself and they like you, man, you know, then they'll be calling you, you know. Depending on what area you live in, too. That I know down here in Florida, that's what we're experiencing. We got people calling us and throwing dates at us, and they're bars. You know, R2, R3 being in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area, you know. You remember Thirsty Whale, Penny Road Pub, which I'm sure is still there. Thirsty Whale is no longer there. And I mean, a host of others. I still have a couple of my old Illinois entertainers I grabbed just before we left last year. And some of the places are still advertising in there. But, you know, they're bars and they don't really call you. And sometimes you got to chase money. And, you know, that's because they got high taxes. They got high expenses, high overhead. So, they can't afford to pay the bands. But, yeah, what Bumblebest, I think I understand what he means is that you can't compete when people are playing for free. And then these club owners will say, well, why should I hire, let's say it's a tribute band. Why should I hire this Led Zeppelin tribute band when this Led Zeppelin tribute band is going to do this for cheaper or for free? And they kind of sound the same. I don't know. I think they sound good. I'll give these guys, and I'm going to save money, you see. And then they're going to go for where they're going to save money. But the problem with that is, you kind of open up a Pandora box, because then they're going to expect it for free, depending on who the person is. So it's tough. I mean, me and my vocalist Mike had talked about this. If we had to comp a show, maybe draw up some sort of a contract that would say, okay, so then they would have to hire us at our rate, and then it's being fair for both parties, you know. And I know that's kind of tough because then, well, it's tough for their perspective because you see they have to make sure that they're going to see the value in paying, you know, the money. So I can understand that. But if you have a proven track record, you know, you shouldn't even have to do that. And then if they, for some reason, want to play bias, then, you know, adios. So if you notice, when I put the videos up, these are the places that have hired us, that have been good to us. And I think that's fair because why should I go around advertise a place that does have music and they turn around and then they don't hire us? And I'm not trying to take them, you know, to the bankruptcy court or anything. You know, just being fair. They'll say that they have new entertainment. They look for new acts. Okay, so if I show them a video and if they were to say to me, all right, well, that's not really what we're looking for, I'm sorry, but maybe in the future, I'm not going to go home and cry and wet the bed over it. At least they're being upfront and honest, and I respect that. It's when they lead you on and they play the game and you know they want you to beg and please and please. No, that's not going to happen here. You know, it's not going to happen. There's way too many places to go to, not just to play at, but even to go and, you know, patronize. Take your friends, have food, you know, support them. And I try to be fair about it, but that's the whole thing, the fairness. And there is a question on here from BumbleBest. Is gigging a side job for us? It is kind of a yes and no question or answer. Because right now, for me personally, that's right now where my income is coming from. I do side jobs. This can be a side job for my other jobs, and then my other jobs could be the side job for this. And this, I wanted to save this question, answer this question for last, because to kind of touch up on the topic of is a plan B good? I would absolutely highly recommend, yeah, have a plan B, because anyone in any type of a business will always be able to cover that business. Anyone that's got friends that own their own company, and let's say it's a startup company, if it's doing lawn work, if it's doing construction, if it is any type of a business where they don't really necessarily need a brick and mortar building and they're trying to get things started, chances are they're going to hang on to their day job to make sure that they have money coming in to help support that. Because way too many people in the first year, they'll quit their day job, they go to this, and they'll think right away they're going to be rich, and right away the phone is always going to be calling. And no, it's not always going to be, you're not always going to get the phone calls. Whether you're doing lawn service, painting, HVAC, you know, down here in Florida, it gets extremely hot. Like right now, it's our surface temperature. We have a thermometer in our lanai. Our surface temperature right now is about 100 degrees. And the humidity and the dew point is real high. I'm going to grab my little cup of coffee, cappuccino here. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's backwards, you know. We got a nice water bottle from New York Life. We got this from a friend of ours who works at New York Life. Put the plug in for them. They've been real good to us. We'll be good to them. Of course, the place that we always play at, La Corte Bistro. I know it's backwards, man. This is, you know, this is the place. Anyone comes down to Cape Coral, you want to experience fine dining, this is the place right here, man. They're great. And then a nice lady that works for Allura. It's insurance company. You know, gives a little plug in for the people that have been kind to me and good. You know, I believe in fairness. Now, these are non-music related businesses. When I was playing at that house that was selling for $1.9 million, these people were among the people in the crowd, and so they were kind enough to have me play. So okay, put the plug in for them. But see, these are businesses that are in need, and this is the point I'm trying to get to. Excuse me. Music Although music does have a need, music is really good in therapy, um, especially if you could play soft, if you could play classical style or new age style. I know that's not a lot of our, my guitar friends' forte, but this is where you could say now there's more of a need for this because it's really helping people with different illnesses and different situations. And a lot of our gigs we've done that we got hired on like instantly was because I could do the classical guitar styling. The classical and the flamenco, that's one of the main gigs that got us the opportunity to play for NATO in Brussels, Belgium. And again, that was a great experience. I also got hired on to do a private function at this lady's house. The daughter hired us. It was their birthday or it was their anniversary. I can't remember exactly what it was. But she was terminally ill. And so they could not go celebrate their anniversary on a cruise because, I mean, she was bedridden. It was bad. So the daughter hires us, and in conjunction as she hired us, she's talking to my wife, and she's telling my wife the story that she did reach out to other guitar players, and she had one guy flat out tell her that, no, he can't come out. If there's less than 100 people, I cannot come out. And I am sure that this lady gave this guy all the information like she gave my wife. You know, if it's like any of you guys, when you need some work done, you're going to give the information that's needed so you can get the job done. I mean, this is common sense. So, but for whatever reason, this guy said what he said. So when she contacted us and she see me doing all the flamenco stuff, and she's like, wow, this is great. And maybe she felt, well, is this guy too big for us? And I'm not too big for anybody. Again, and I don't like to, push any of my religious beliefs on anybody, but, to me, this is a gift from God. He gave it to me. He could take it from me. That's simple. I did my homework, but, I believe we are born with this. We really are born with this because, yeah, I had my struggles when I started to play, but not like other people and not like other students that I would teach. So that's why I say that to me it's a gift from God. So I'm playing this gig for this lady there, and there's a small room, maybe about the size of this, and I'm, all dressed up. I got my classical guitar. I'm playing these pieces of music. The daughter that hired us, she's sitting like on a couch with her fiance, and then there's another daughter, then there's the husband, and there's the mom who's terminally sick. So that was my crowd, And I remember, I always do this. I always say my own little prayers personally. I don't try to, make a big show out of it. I'm not a perfect person, but I remember for this particular one asking God to help me play something that is just going to touch this lady, because what she is going through is far more than what any of my bad times or anything like that. I mean, she could literally be taking her last. This could be her last days on this earth. And I just remember sitting there playing, and just anything that had to do with my ego, I was just in my mind just throwing it aside and just focusing on every nuance of every note to make it sound as elegant, as beautiful, to try to paint this beautiful picture, to let her know that she's loved, she's cared for, she's honored, and I respect her, and she is the star, not me. I'm just a guy holding the guitar. She is. And and she was in tears when I was playing, and then we found out later on, about a year after that, the husband calls, and apparently the lady was getting better. So what we do, it does affect other people. It really does. And as musicians, we don't realize it because we're in our mind trying to do our own thing, and so that's when you're performing, that's what you're focusing. But I try to always keep that in mind as a listener, because I'm a listener too. I'm a fan too. So.
Oh, can I add something on that?
Yes, you can.
Story?
My wife can add something.
We also gave her free copies of your Spanish and classical CDs, and she kept playing them over and
Yeah.
over and over after we had left.
After we had left,
So
yeah.
music has healing powers.
Yeah.
And she did fully recover from whatever illness she
Wow.
had.
See, that's great right there. That to me, and that show was not too far after we did the show for NATO. So there we are over in Brussels, Belgium, playing at NATO at a place called the Three Star Lounge, and all these people that are sitting watching me play are somebody I've seen on TV, and they're not just saying they're actors or rock stars. These are important people, and my mind is just being taken back by this. I'm like, these people are clapping for me, and these are the people that I see on TV. It was the weirdest thing for me. Sometimes I have a hard time understanding that. But again, it's just how you conduct yourself. It's how you portray yourself, and it's how you treat others, and that goes a long way. That really does go a long way. So, but then we did that show, and then here on the other side is this show we did, this performance, private performance for this lady. And then in conjunction with that, all the other stuff you see I do on YouTube. Now, everything I'm showing on YouTube is definitely music related, and it is from anywhere from shredding guitar, rock and roll, man, throwing the guitar around, having a great time, doing a wedding shower, which we just did a wedding last night at the place I normally play at. I've done a baby shower. I've done a birthdays. How many birthdays? I got hired out for that. And I've had people almost, I don't want to say to look down on it, but the people that you would normally chase to get to those next levels would probably say, okay, yeah, but that's nice, but yeah, we need this, but that's not this. Now, I'm not trying to knock anybody, because there's differences, and when there's a lot of money invested in a show, that is a big deal, because there's a lot of money at stake. That's totally understandable. But what I cannot understand is how a person could lead another person on within this industry, and this is where this whole Plan B is so necessary. Because the thing is that they will say to you, sorry about that, guys. No. So, the whole thing is, they will basically, kind of lead you on. Not everybody. There's a lot of good people that are out there, and this is where this Plan B is I think is so necessary to have, because even when you got good promoters, a good record label, even if they're starting out, or even if they are accomplished. Let's stick with the ones that are accomplished, that are going to throw this money at you, and the people who are really good. And you do have a lot of really good people out there. So I want to make that very clear. And let's say, for whatever reason, something bad happens, we have another bad economy, another recession. Okay, and this is a good example. No matter how good their intentions are, and yeah, they could say, yeah, but we had a foot in the door, and the show was going to be planned, and we talked to the promoters, we rented the venue out, we're talking with them, we got the insurance. You got to have insurance, my friends. Don't think you don't have to. You got to have insurance, because all it takes is one person to pretend they hurt themselves, and if they know that there's all this money thrown at this event, boom, they right away they run to the lawyers. And if they have a relative that has just as much money as the person hosting this event, be prepared for a battle, because whoever has the most money is going to afford the highest attorney, and boy, they're going to pounce, and they're going to pounce big, and they might go to such a it could get dragged out to the point where you're forced to do a settle out of court, and you just lose, and I'm not trying to deviate from this subject, but my point is that, so let's say we have a very bad recession, and all of a sudden you went and you quit your job, and because you thought for sure this is going to happen, man. The writing's on the wall. I talked with these people said yes, those people said yes, it's go, 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 let's go, good, good, good. And then when something happens because of a financial situation, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? This is a reality. And I'm not at all trying to paint a bad picture. So I hope I don't come across as being negative, because I never want to rain on somebody's parade. I hope everyone does succeed. But when I see, and I've seen this on Craigslist, and it's not Craigslist, it's people putting this up. The 4 myths and 1 myth is you don't need a job, man. I don't understand these people. I just don't understand it. Unless you are living in mom's basement, and at some point, mom and dad, and then let's say they're in their 60s and 70s, and a person does not have a backbone to pull themselves up and say, let's help mom and dad out. Let's kind of put some effort into this. I just don't understand it, because really, what Plan B is you taking control. And I would suggest that to anybody. Even if you have to get an outside job that's non-music related. I've done a lot of that. I know there's a lot of you guys have done a lot of that. And all it does is it proves that you are that strong, that you can handle it, and you're that wise. Because now, I mentioned about the people that are good people, okay? But as we know, there's a lot of liars out there. There's a lot of scams out there. And it's really sad. And, they don't really come after people that are experienced like us. They don't. They'll try. And as soon as I sit down and talk with them, because I've done this recently, they're going to find out that I'm not going to beg and buy into their crap that they're trying to sell me. I'm just not going to do it. Because I know what it takes. Just like my wife says, it takes money. And if the money's not there, nothing's going to happen. So, the plan B would be anything that you have to do legally and morally, because if a person degrades themselves to such a degree that they are made a fool out of because someone told them they're going to be the next best thing, next big thing, that's again, I'm not telling people what they should do. Everyone does what they want, but I'd never follow that advice. It's really sad. It's sad to see that people will allow themselves to get so depressed because they put all their eggs in one basket, and they were led astray from people that they know what they're doing. And because the honest people will always tell you, have a backup plan. If you ask anyone in any other business, they'll tell you the same thing. Have a good backup plan. Why is it in music and the performing arts, especially in music? I can't really speak on acting and that. That's I'm not into that, so I don't know. But I could definitely speak about this. Why is it that they got the smoke screen of mystery that you're not supposed to understand it? When it comes down to the term making it, is dollars and cents, because that's what they are gonna judge everything by, dollars and cents. Record sales, okay? There's a lot of things that are opinionated, but again, record sales is what, dollars and cents, what came in, and how much money came in. So it's only the music industry that has this mystique that you're not supposed to understand. And then when you figure things out and you sit down and talk with these people, they don't like it. They don't like the fact that you figured out what their puzzle was. And again, I've said this before, and maybe I could be wrong, okay? Maybe I could be wrong, but I seriously doubt it. I seriously doubt it. And the reason why I'm going to say I seriously doubt it, when my wife and I had our construction companies, it was a business. And I think one of the contracts that Deb said in our last session, I think one of her $500,000 contract, Deb?
Yeah.
That's just one of the contracts.
Annual.
That's annual. That means every year. Plus the other contracts. And then with our heating and air conditioning company, what we were making. See, that is a need. It's not a want. Again, other than music for therapy, that is a totally different sector. Other than that, this is a want. It's not a need. So I can't understand why a person is to go for a want and say, I have to make it, I cannot do anything else, So I have to make it. If I try to do something else, it's gonna burn out my creativity.